2 Peter chapter 3. The untaught and unstable twist the scriptures to their own destruction. In this second letter, Peter writes to remind and stir up the minds of the believers, urging them to remember the words of the prophets and the commandments of the apostles. He addresses scoffers who question the promise of Christ's return. Exegesis by sections and verses. Verses 1 to 7. The reminder and the scoffers. Peter encourages the believers to be mindful of the words spoken by the holy prophets and the apostles. He warns them that in the last days, scoffers will arise, driven by their own desires. These scoffers question the promise of Christ's return, claiming that everything continues as it has from the beginning. However, they deliberately forget that God created the heavens and the earth by His word, and that the world was once destroyed by the flood. Peter explains that the current heavens and earth are being preserved for judgment by fire, reserved for the day of judgment and the destruction of ungodly people. Verses 8 to 9. God's view of time and His long-suffering towards sinners. Peter reminds the believers not to forget that God's perspective of time is different from ours. Peter says that a day to the Lord is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is like a day. He reassures them that God is not slow in keeping His promise as some might think, but He is patient and long-suffering, desiring that everyone should come to repentance and be saved. Verses 10 to 13. The day of the Lord. Peter warns that the day of the Lord will come unexpectedly, like a thief in the night. On that day, the heavens will pass away with a great noise, and the elements will be destroyed by fervent heat, resulting in the burning up of the earth and everything that is on it. In light of this impending destruction, Peter emphasizes the importance of holy conduct and godliness. He encourages believers to eagerly anticipate and hasten the coming of the day of the Lord. The heavens will be destroyed by fire, but believers are looking forward to the new heavens and new earth where righteousness will dwell. Verses 14 to 18. Be diligent and steadfast. Peter exhorts believers to be diligent in living in peace, without blemish or blame, as they eagerly await the fulfillment of God's promises. He reminds them that the patience and long-suffering of the Lord lead to salvation. Peter acknowledges the writings of the Apostle Paul, calling him a beloved brother. He affirms that Paul also spoke about these matters in his letters. Even though some of Paul's teachings can be difficult to understand, which are twisted by the untaught and unstable, Peter warns the believers to be aware of these dangers. He exhorts them to not fall from their steadfastness, but instead to grow in the grace and knowledge of Jesus Christ, to whom be glory now and forever. Summary. Peter's second letter serves as a reminder to believers, urging them to remember the words of the prophets and the commandments of the apostles. He warns about the scoffers who doubt the promise of Christ's return, and encourages believers to not be swayed by their false claims. Peter emphasized God's sovereignty over time, and His patience in fulfilling His promises. He describes the impending day of the Lord's judgment, when the heavens and earth will be destroyed by fire, and urges believers to live holy and godly lives. Peter says that we are to be looking forward to the new heavens and the new earth, where righteousness dwells. Peter concludes by exhorting them to be diligent, steadfast, and to grow in the grace and knowledge of Jesus Christ.